Hey guys, Lytane here, and today I'm going to be doing the second part of my Final Fantasy trilogy based on the very first Final Fantasy movie, The Spirits Within. After the success of the very first game, Square became a powerhouse in the RPG genre. They kept making game after game after game, and they became known for very specific things. They make great characters, they make great worlds, they make great music, and they make great gameplay, so it was only natural for them to want to branch out and do something else. Seeing as how a lot of the traits I just listed are movie traits, why not make a movie? Square thought this as well, and this is what they gave us. Final Fantasy Spirits Within is a film set in the fantasy world of Earth, in the imaginary town of New York. After a massive asteroid hits our planet and causes a great deal of devastation, strange things start happening. People start to die of mysterious causes around the impact site, and it soon spreads. Through the use of science, it is discovered that creatures are pouring out of the meteor. They can phase through walls and can't be seen by the naked eye often. But the most horrific thing is that if they touch you, they rip out your soul from your body, killing you instantly. A war begins between the people of Earth and these invading phantoms, and the humans lose. But we develop shields to keep them out of our cities, guns to fight back, and a few medical advancements as well. Enter our main hero, Aki Ross. She is a scientist under the tutelage of Professor Cid. She has been researching a way to get rid of the phantoms, and she believes that the phantoms resonate at certain frequencies, and that if she was to create something with the opposite frequencies, then they would cancel each other out. These frequencies are produced by the souls of the living, but only certain souls have the frequencies, so she is on the hunt for them. Before the start of the movie, 5 of them have already been collected, leaving only 3. Aki teams up with a soldier that she has a history with named Gray. He is the muscle and helps Aki out because after all the fighting and killing of phantoms, he wants a different solution, and Aki provides him with it. Not everyone believes that this can actually work, and many people don't even believe in spirits, even though we see them quite often in the film. It is these people that build a super laser in orbit in order to shoot the asteroid in order to destroy the phantoms at their source. Which one of these methods will put a stop to the invasion? Only one way to find out, with The Spirits Within. Oh boy, where do I start with this film? Let's start with the graphics. This was made all the way back in 2001, and boy does it look very impressive. There are many scenes and parts of this film that are just simply stunning. They use particle effects and lighting effects to show off the characters and the locations, and by God, it looks really good. That is until any character starts moving. As soon as they start moving, you can see the lifelessness on every single person in this film. They look like a plastic Barbie doll kind of thing. They don't show emotion, they barely move, they have really blocky stances. Even though Square used the very best graphic engine available at the time, they just couldn't quite get the motion capture. Other films that came out in this year, like Monsters Inc., used cartoony graphics to hide the limitations of this field. Trying to do something realistic like this just sort of fell flat. But that still didn't stop Square from trying. The acting goes hand in hand with the animation in that it is incredibly dull and plastic. They have some great voice actors in this movie that just don't deliver. Ming-Hua plays the lead Aki, but she does a pretty poor job. There is no emotion in her voice, no personality, and this is the same actress that voiced Mulan in 2004, which is surprising because she did such a great job in that movie. Why not in this one? Other notable actors include Alec Baldwin playing Gray, whose voice doesn't suit the character at all. I keep picturing him from 40 Rock, where he's like a businessman in a suit and he's kind of fat, and now he's playing a Marine that's really slim. James Woods is the voice of the bad guy. He is okay, but there's just so little life in his performance compared to Hades from the movie Hercules. I don't know if this was just bad direction or if the animation just couldn't keep up with better performances, so Square was like, well, the animation is wooden, so should you. The story for this film is also very strange and slow at the same time. The whole point of this movie is for Aki to be collecting the spirits in order to create another weapon to stop the phantoms. By the start of the film, she has already collected 5 of them, and we're just seeing the last couple. Why would you start the movie in the middle of the quest? It's like if you were to watch Lord of the Rings, but then you skip the Fellowship of the Ring and you watch it straight from the Two Towers. Sure, you can get invested in the characters and eventually figure out what's going on, but you feel like you've missed out an integral part of the story and you just don't quite get it. A solution for this is to just do 3 spirits, the final 3 spirits that we see in the movie. Or if they really wanted to do 8, do a montage of them so then we can see the characters doing different stuff and growing. Another thing that gets me is the stupidity of all the characters. Cid talks about how every living thing has a spirit and that he thinks phantoms are spirits. He also says that the world has a spirit named Gaia, but no one believes him. This makes absolutely no sense because you can literally see spirits all the time. When they are doing spirit surgery, or when a spirit has been taken out of the body when somebody is being attacked by the phantoms. How is this not a proven thing yet? Even the research that Sid is doing proves that the spirits, because there's different life forms with different resonating frequency spirits. This is a big issue in the movie because everyone thinks that this is an invading army from another planet, not some spirits that accidentally traveled here on a meteor. To be fair though, the main animosity between the heroes and the bad guy is that he has this super laser in orbit that is proven to kill phantoms, whilst the heroes say if they collect certain spirits they can stop the phantoms. Completely unproven theory, so I can see where the bad guy would want to shoot his big laser in order to stop people from dying instead of waiting for an untested way to kill them. This isn't even the only flaw in this so-called story. Right at the beginning of the film, they establish the rules of the phantoms. They can't be seen by the naked eye, they can move through solid objects, and if they come into contact with any living thing, they either rip out their soul or a small part instills itself into a host, and if not removed quickly, it will kill them. All of this goes right out of the window right away when the phantoms can be seen by the naked eye later in the film. At one point when they are killed, they even hit the floor and bounce, even though they go through all solid objects. What kind of bullets do these soldiers shoot anyway? It would have to be energy of some kind, right? Just like the laser, because bullets would just go right through them. But when Aki gets shot about halfway through the film, it's a bullet lodged in her breastplate. So that just doesn't make sense. Later in the film, Hades, because that's what I'm going to call him, it's James Woods, everyone thinks of him as Hades, wants to use his space laser, but the government don't want to just yet. So he decides to let the force field down in one area of a city in order to let the phantoms in to kill people, pushing the government types to letting him use it. Then he is surprised when they start traveling through the power ducts and to the other areas of the city. They are phantoms who can travel through solid matter. How will some pipes stop them? It makes no sense. Even at the end of the film, with some slight spoilers here, Hades is shooting his space laser at the meteor and it is working. So of course he keeps firing it, unbeknownst to him that the spirits are now infecting Gaia through these actions. And then the warning signs come up saying not to fire again because the thing is overheating, but he just keeps firing for no real reason. Doing so causes this amazing weapon that cost millions of dollars and man hours to build to blow up. What an idiot. Why did he do this? Why not wait for the cooldown and fire again? He had all the time in the world to fire the weapon. So the main antagonist kills himself and takes out the weapon, and the heroes have absolutely nothing to do with that victory. Also in the film, there is quite a few dream sequences that Aki has in order to explain what the phantoms are and how they got to Earth. That is a fine idea in order to give us a perspective and learn about the bad guys. The only problem with these dreams is that they are incredibly slow and boring. This movie starts off with some great visuals of Aki standing in like a desert place, which could have looked better. Come on, you know, you've made some vast, amazing places in other games, Square. And then there's this weird shot of her standing on water, but it's not water. It reminded me of Kingdom Hearts, if I do say so myself. Only for her to look out on this vast wasteland and then realize that there's nothing there, and then she wakes up. That's how you start the film. I don't get it. When I first watched this film, I had no context for what these dreams were, so I was completely flabbergasted because I had no idea what was going on. They could have used one of the later dreams when one of the bad guys are there and they get rushed, or just something a little bit more exciting. It would have created the same sense of, I don't know what's going on, but at least with an exciting start, people will be more willing to watch the film. The other major thing about these dreams are they put into the movies at quite random times. It's like, oh well, we've just done some fighting, let's do a little bit of backstory for the aliens. It doesn't really make much sense, especially when Gray decides to do a spirit walk with Aki, and how he does it and why, who knows? I don't. Movie people didn't know, they just wanted to do some stuff. And I think that's what this film is, people doing stuff. The main problem with this film is that it is just boring. All the characters, boring. The story, boring. The acting, boring. The sets, mostly boring. The pace of the film, boring. The dream sequences, boring. The villains, boring. If this film wasn't called Final Fantasy, then it would have faded into obscurity long ago. Besides some of the visuals in this movie, there is nothing really memorable in this film. Not even the music, which was honestly one of the best things about Final Fantasy, as I mentioned in my last review. So I'm gonna say that this movie is not worth it. Square did some amazing things up until this point, and this is definitely not one of them. This film missed its mark because it was set on Earth instead of a fantasy world like all of their games were. Then all the characters are boring and one-dimensional, and the story is just so slow and does not have a consistent pace and doesn't even make sense in itself. I don't get how these people that made Final Fantasy VII with its great scope, characters, and music turned around and shit this massive flop out. I don't even recommend watching this film. That is how boring it is. Instead, go onto Google and look up pictures of this film. Then you can see the great visuals of it, and then you can make up your own story, and I am sure it will be better than what this film presented to you. So next on my Final Fantasy trilogy, let's hope that when Square gave their property out to make an anime, that it turned out better than this. And guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe you thought Spirits Within was an amazing film, though I highly doubt it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!